Like we just met. We'll just meet.
Like, I appreciate you inviting me out to your house as a stranger.
W, welcome to my house. Welcome to the underlayer of my house. All these years of us doing stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a little bit quiet and you're kind of a little bit quiet, but like you've been going steady. Like if I turn this way, like I feel like you've been over, you know what I mean? Like pushing the gas a little, you know what I mean? In our own little world.
I try to keep moving, keep things going,
Yeah, you always got something going on and got something exploring stuff.
Trying different
things. Plus you like machines, you like, you know what I mean? The machines,
like the mechanics of making things, When you showed me that masking tape, that transfer tape, a light bulb just went off. It was like somebody just showed you like the secret to the universe.
It's either, because I've seen two ways. It's either like with me, it was like, cha-ching, like something clicked, or some people go like, fuck this.
Really?
It's tedious. Like, it's tedious. For me, I was like, I can draw sloppy and cut clean.
Yeah.
Sloppy looks beautiful when it's cut clean. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, yeah. No, I remember doing that a lot. I don't even know where that's. I remember running blue tape.
And that's tedious and takes forever.
And those double cuts through that little fucking sucks. You never quite get that double cut through
I think years ago, when we first started doing ABL, my first wall was with masking tape. And it was that regular, it wasn't even blue tape. It was just the regular yellow tape.
Yeah.
And that took forever. And it came out, okay.
Well, see, I remember doing walls, but I think I'd figured out that white stuff. So it's like, I remember doing that snake one.
Yes.
All crazy or whatever and stuff. That was like, I should have only concentrated on that. You know what I mean? My brain.
We still have the piece you did for us that was in like 16 different panels.
16?
Yeah. We had an idea that to do a mural. It'll be a great idea. Instead of doing one big mural, let's just break it up into 16 panels. And then the artist paint their piece, and we could take it off the walls. It ended up being a disaster. But it was a big bear. And we still have it. It's like a big jigsaw puzzle with 2 foot by 2 foot, pieces.
You
did one,
yeah. Okay.
We
See,
might
that's
put
how
that.
I know I'm getting old, man, because like the one good thing about my brain is I could always remember every single painting I painted. Every single one. I could remember it.
That was
because that first big show I was in the parking lot. I brought some friends, waited in to get up to the parking garage.
Yeah.
And then got there and it was like, I didn't even make it in.
There was a point in the night where I think Michi, myself, and Jabari were all outside of the show and couldn't get back in. We had our families outside and we were trapped out there. Yeah.
I can believe it.
Yeah, we were just out there like, yo, we're part of the show. We need to get in.
Right.
And they were like, sorry,
I think I was like, I got paintings in there. Like, no, Michi was trying and then it was like he got sucked in. And I was like, holy, but then you turned and you looked and you're like, what the fuck? You saw like, was it Dose Green? Who was it that did like, did this yellow with like
that was
black
Fuse.
Biggie.
That was Fuse Green, yeah.
So that when I
good memory, yeah.
When I saw it, because vinyl.
That was all vinyl.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fuse.
So I've been like kind of titter-tattering on that world. When I saw that, I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. They just look like a tattooed up painting of like all these different things. So I remember seeing that in the window and then turning and seeing like all the fucking stairs full.
Yeah, people.
And then looking like we just spent like an hour and a half getting up a park and then looking at this line and I was like, holy shit. Like to me, like, I don't know, there's nothing been that underground, above ground, like that shut down.
The museum down.
That shut down the whole block, man. There was cars like, we don't come late. That's what was my thing.
We did a news spot, I think, the day of, or right the day before. And
I feel like I remember it. Because I was with Michi, like
5.
hearing this kind of like.
Yeah, because it was like this, for back then, for like a street art underground art show to be on the morning shows. That was unusual.
Oh, I think I remember
and
that.
We walked in to the TV station, and Stedman Graham was on his way out. We were like, oh my God, it's Stedman Graham. And then George Duke had a segment, and then it was us. Yeah.
I don't even know if I knew you at that point.
Yeah,
like,
I don't remember meeting you.
It was only like I don't know if I knew you till like
you came to the warehouse with Michi, didn't you?
I was when all that was going on. I was there, because I saw Michi's little setup. It had like a couple of our paintings in it and stuff, and I feel like I might even gone to the Hive before. I feel like I saw like the warehouse. You had it set up. I was like, holy shit.
We might have met at the warehouse.
Yeah.
Because that's when the Met, which is like...
I'm forgettable.
The Met...
It's cool.
That's before there were rules in that place. It was just like the outlawed land.
That's how everything felt like.
Because there was no... you could do whatever you want out there, It's kind of weird because they're at two different points in time and two different points in life, The goat farm is more of like a creative community. And
it almost started from like squatters that were creative. Like
it has a really like rustic feel to it.
Yeah.
And it's really cool vibe. And then you had the Met back then, and this is like the early 2000s. I would say it was just like raw warehouse space. You had on one side you had like chop shops, people were doing car stuff. And then you had artists doing whatever. Then you had like nightclubs happening, and then you had places where you don't know what's going on in there.
Dudes selling blank CDs.
Yeah, you don't know what's happening.
A fucking warehouse full of blank CDs. Dude, running blank CDs like crazy.
So I'll tell you, the first time when everybody got together, all the artists were getting together to work for the first time. This is back when I was driving the Xterra, the white Xterra. I pull up in the truck.
It's a nice ride, man.
It was like my legendary vehicle, you know.
I had a minivan.
Yeah, you had a minivan.
My legendary minivan, dude.
I jump out my truck. I had on a military jacket like a general.
Oh, Lord.
And then we started walking, and then a semi-truck came down the middle, snagged the power line, ripped it off the building, and the power line smashed the windows of my car.
For real?
Yeah, that was day one. That's how everything started working on at the Met that time.
I'm here, Mom.
It's like, we doing
this.
There's
no FaceTime. Like, writing a letter or whatever.
So then we were in the warehouse working, and the guy that ran it, I think we started playing darts or something, throwing darts. And then over time that escalated to like BB guns, and then it got to crossbows inside. There was no one telling us, don't do this. Shooting a crossbow indoors is not the best idea, but it sounds cool.
I would not turn it down.
How could you?
If there's no one in front of me,
it's
safe.
There was a bunch of artists in the room. Was like, hey, I got a crossbow. I'm like, word?
The most fun New Year's is Derek, Urban Medium. Mm-hmm. He called up and he was like, I have a New Year's party. I went to the like black market or underground market and bought just a shit ton of airsoft rifles, like boxes of them. And he's like, I got chicken wings
and airsoft
rifles. I'm talking tons of airsoft rifles. And he was in a warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Still to this day, I think of it like it was the most glorious time because your fucking gun would break. You're like, fuck it. Open another box, pull out a fucking machine gun, put it with airsoft, and people were down the hallways with paintings blocking walls. You know what I mean?
Shooting little yellow pellets.
Oh, it was an artist battle with like, with like paintings being blocked down a art. Oh, it was still. There's no New Year's that will top chicken wings and airsoft from the market. I feel like I went to one Art Beats and Lyrics. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like actually went to it, but like
you never been to any of the shows?
Dude,
you missed out on all the good shows, man.
I could describe it to you. It was very white and sleek during one part. It was very, I don't know if it was a Jack Daniels part or whatever, but.
Are you talking about the Compound?
Maybe it was the compound one. Yeah. Do you get to work with the legendary ass people?
Well.
They like you and Jabari with some.
Man, we've been working together for like since 2004 or 5.
Yeah,
and we've done way over 100 shows.
So that's nuts.
And you get it like as far as when it comes to like working with musicians.
Right.
I tell you, Maceo from De La Soul, you know, we did a show during the Kentucky Derby in Louisville, and he hung out the whole time. Like from like opening door to like it was cool, but we're not used to that. You're like, you know, usually people come in, they do what they do the sound check, and they leave. I think 2012, that's when we first really started. That's when we worked with Shepard Fairey's agency, Black Market.
Okay, Shepard Fairey.
Yeah.
Give me a true. You sent me that picture of him looking at my shit.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, not a month or two after that, he started shading. He started shading his shit. His fingers pointing at my shading. I was like, why shading this shit?
Yeah.
That was cool. I mean,
that was a cool experience working with his people, because the first time we met him, it was like Miami.
Working with his people. Like, what do you mean? Like he has
an agency, yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like we got stuff done by. It's like
this is his agency. His agency, because
that's legit.
Yeah, it was nice. It was crazy, cool. It was good going to the office and seeing the stuff. And
plus the knowledge you get.
Just looking at just looking at how they set it up, and even how, you know, they prep the files and all that. That was really cool. And he came out to the show in LA, and that was dope. And we see him every now and again at, like, we go to Art Basel and he's DJing, so that was pretty cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, but yeah, 2012, that was the time we worked with them, and we had like Scarface on tour with us, Digital Underground, Mansions on the Moon, and Clyde Stubblefield was James' brother, funky drummer. He was on tour with us, and DJ Lord. So that was different, because that was like an 8-block show where it was the same musicians each city. So you would see them again like the next week.
They toured.
We were on tour together. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. You know, somebody had to pick up the people from the airport, you know, and at the time I had the rental car, and they were like, "Hey, Dub, can you go get Clyde Stubblefield from the airport?" I'm like, hell yeah, I'm getting.
Hell yeah.
I'm not supposed to be driving nobody, but I was like, I will drive the funky drummer to the venue. So that was cool.
Yeah.
After about 20 years, you have the experience of being able to get things wrong and try again and try again and try again, and get to where you can do what you do effectively, and you can handle both the, you know, the more street stuff if you want to do that still, or the corporate gigs. You know, you can handle both of those and still keep the same flair going, because you know how to do that, because you've been around the game long enough. You know,
quickly learn your work.
Like, what logo have you done that people don't know you have done?
What logo have I done people don't know I've done?
Yeah, that's like your secret logos.
I've got one coming out for this ATL first that's gonna look like a new take on a classic ATL. They wanted an ATL like my little lightning bolt, but I was like, I thought about that for 2 years, you know, just doodling. So I was like, fuck, I gotta come up with something legendary. So I kind of based it off that, like, where the A and the T and the L are all mushed together, but I made it very, I don't know, I'd almost call it like just harder, blockier.
Yeah.
So that might come out and might be something classic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I tried to make something classic. I'm trying to think, dude. I'm like, in my head, I'm looking through my logo sheet.
Yeah.
Which now I don't even show on.
I don't even show the
now it's like, I'll UI your website that you can make some cash on it. You know what I mean? Like,
logo wise, I would say the one logo that probably no one really, I guess, unless I told you, was Corporate Thugs Entertainment for Young Jeezy.
I don't know what it looks like.
Yeah, it's not the best logo in the world. I tell you, it's not the flyest one. So what happened is, a friend hit me up and like, "Hey, I want you to do this logo for this Corporate Thugs." I'm like, okay. I had an idea of what I wanted to do. They turned down all the other ideas.
Right.
And then the last one, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna put this on and add an emboss to it.
Oh, like a album cover emboss?
It's like a 3D, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, that's good. And like, okay, let's see, because it wasn't for a whole lot of money. I was like, okay, cool. And then I sent it off, and that was it. Yeah. And then one day I'm in Walmart, and I go past the Source or a XXL or something, and I see them on the cover with my logo and covered in diamonds on chains. I'm like, I wish I would have did something else. You know? But yeah.
Well, there's some. Yeah.
They loved it, so I'm like, if they're happy with it, you know, I'm cool with it. You know.
Yeah, but stuff like you probably got $300 at the most.
Exactly how much I got.
Yes, I know exactly.
Like you've done those.
And I would have said 200, but I bet you got extra special 300. You know
that
what I mean?
That doesn't cost money.
Yeah.
You know, as an independent artist, you got to get it where you can, and you got to get your 100%. Money wherever it is.
100%.
So, have you ever been paid in a parking lot before?
I have been paid out of the back of my truck was where the painting came out of, and where the money was exchanged. It was $200. Yeah. $200. I would go anywhere for $200.
I'm not above getting a check or cash in the parking lot, depending on depending on how much it is.
200. Yeah. My biggest, probably some of the most solid contacts came from like Cafe Tutu Tango, like back in the day.
We were talking about that place a couple of days ago,
dude. I mean, like I still have people that are, circling back around and like.
I wish they still had that place.
It was. If you give struggling artists that want to fucking hustle enough to buy like 2 drinks, alcohol, and maybe like 1 appetizer, which is about what they give you, is like they give you tango bucks.
Tango dollars.
But they were cashed in for liquor and food. So you go there, no money, apartment living in a, whatever. And you paint for 4 hours, talk to random people, all the freaking white noise and stupid ass conversations you hear. And then you get like 2 liquors and like a appetizer. And so it was like, it had a just rotation of artists, like
I never
Beachy,
painted
Clifford
there.
Bailey, all these like guys.
I never painted there.
Oh, it was. I mean, that's like the first thing I feel like I did. So coming from like Panama City, Florida, I was like, this is fucking weird. I'm in like a mannequin in the front window painting in Atlanta. What the hell am I doing? You know what I mean? But it was like, I like doing that. That was like where you're like, you should be able to do that even if you're shy, because I'm shy as shit. And it's like, cool, I actually got addicted to
being in public?
To painting live. Yeah, when we moved to Florida a little time, I was like, West Palm Beach, I found a fucking little bar and I was like, I'll paint live every Wednesday.
Is that company still around?
What?
Tutu Tango.
I think they're like in Florida only or something. They had a few.
Yeah, they
had a few. It was a great little. I made like $10,000 there one time.
Oh wow!
Back in the day when none of us made money, like they gave me the whole thing and I put up because I was. Psycho. I had hundreds of paintings.
It was in Buckhead though.
Yeah.
So that's a good
But I had
location.
Hundreds of paintings. Like I when it clicked in the whole painting thing, like I went psycho, and they let me put them all up, and it's just like all of them sold. You know what I mean? Out of there, and I was like, at night, like I was like, watching the ratings come in. They're like, we just made this much. I was like, what?
Yeah, that's good.
And then I wasted all trying to sell my house. Like I got nothing. I had to pay the power bill when a house didn't sell. For like 6 months.
One time I went there to eat, and they had the shrimp fritters.
That's what me and my wife were talking about.
And the shrimp fritters were so good. About that. And I at that time I wasn't a big fan of like sweet potatoes, but it was so damn good that I told the waitress, this is amazing. She's like, you want to talk to the chef? And I'm like, okay. And the chef came out and he's like, I heard you like the shrimp fritters. Yeah. I'm like, these are incredible. And he was like, all right, it's great.
Because I think they'd have chefs that would come in and be a badass. Yeah. You know what I mean? Make some shit or whatever.
And then when I'm leaving, the waitress is like, hey, I got something for you. She slid me a sheet of paper and it had the recipe on it for the shrimp fritters.
For real?
Yeah, but
my wife yesterday said that.
The catch about is this. Those. It was for 50 people.
Ooh,
so it was like 5 gallons of honey, 2 pounds of nuts.
So you got to do math. Lots of math. Okay.
I need 8 pounds of shrimp. I'm like, okay.
Dude, that's a legit.
I'm like, I can't really do that with this.
Dang. I'm such a frugal little asshole. Like, I'm such a
frugal. You got like $1,300 worth of yarn.
I didn't pay for it.
Dude, you got vinyl. That's not frugal, man. All that costs money.
No, but what I'm saying is
about like $2,000 worth of spray cans.
Yeah,
right over our court. That either. Each can is about $10.
See, my bad management.
I'm frugal.
My bad management of jobs is that I'll feel like that's worth so much more than it should be. So like I'll be like, oh, I get paid this much for a mural. Mm-hmm. I get this much cash, but I might have a lot of leftover spray paint. Mm-hmm. I treat that way more than it should be. You know what I'm saying? Like I treat it like cash.
Yeah,
which I shouldn't. Cash is cash.
Well, I tell you, like, sometimes you'll do a project just to get the extra supplies.
100%.
One time I did a project, and they're like, what do you need? I need to get all these Montana markers. Which colors? All of them.
All of them.
I need them in both sizes, every color they make.
Yeah.
I still got those markers.
Approach it like that.
They're like
all of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
So I did that for this one art supply company. They were like, hey, we want to send you some paint. Like, what kind of paint do you need? I was like, I do acrylic and oils. What's your palette? I just want all of them. They sent me 42 oil paints and like 30
oil paints?
Yeah. I don't really get down with oils that.
Yeah, but oil paints, you can have a certain blue that'll be like $40 for a little tiny.
I did not know. I don't need that many colors. You don't need that many colors.
Investment.
You know, so, and the same thing with acrylics. I was like, I like the colors I like. I don't need. But I tell you this, I did learn of a new color because I did a watercolor class called.
A new color?
Yeah. I did a watercolor class and I was very underprepared for it.
Okay.
I thought it was a game and learned it is not a game.
Watercolor's the opposite of everything.
Watercolors is a serious game, serious business.
Yeah.
And, you know, they broke out their palette and she was calling out colors. I didn't even know what they were. She was like, okay, everybody, get your manganese blue hue. And I'm like, I don't know what that is.
That comes from the beauty of it is when you can make that shape out of water and you can drop that shit in and then the drying and the salts. I started trying with salts.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And the David Cho dude, his shit's all crazy, but he does a lot of watercolor. And the watercolor's fucking...
It's an art form.
It's like looking at a succulent cactus sometimes. It's like looking at a beautiful piece of nature when you see what the water does in some parts of the things.
And you can't replicate it, really.
No, because
it is what it is.
It's you gave it to the water.
Yeah.
Unless you can water bend shit like that. I mean, but like, no, damn, I'm gonna leave here wanting a watercolor. W, damn it.
Next time I come back, have a whole watercolor section. I'm so frugal.
I'm like, this is my waterfall where I dip my brush in.
I just built a watercolor room in my big basement.
Dude, I never had this shit, so it's so great. Yeah. I'm so excited. Yeah.
It inspired me, man, because right now
I need a second wind. So what?
I need to get my studio together.
No, I hope it
I'm gonna go home and do that tonight.
But like, I'm sitting here like I'm sitting in my dream studio under my house, which is where I never leave, and I don't have any. Maybe it's the angst. Maybe it's the whatever. Maybe it's just fucking talking. I don't have any.
You need some energy. Just some other energy coming in there. Yeah.
So that's a good segue. So let's talk about what it was like when you had the angst when you first got to Atlanta.
Okay.
Tell John about when you first got to Atlanta.
Okay.
You know,
yeah, like what?
The origin story. Okay, so
I'll start this. I dropped from Panama City. Went to school in Mobile, didn't learn I learned a lot. Had to learn it afterwards. And then from Mobile, Panama City, Mobile, and I was like, the city that I need to go to is Atlanta because that's the city around North Florida. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want to go to Tallahassee, so jetted off to Atlanta, like a naive beach kid. So that's what I did. So like,
how'd I end up here?
North Carolina.
Okay.
What happened?
Let's hold for a second. Let's keep it down a little bit, guys.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
We're laughing at you.
So I was in college at East Carolina. So I'm going to
Where
school.
is that?
East Carolina is in Greenville, North Carolina. Greenville, North Carolina. And this is about maybe 98. And a guy comes up from the real world. The first season, Kevin Powell. He comes to our school and does a talk. And then afterwards, I go up to him and I'm like, hey, I'm an artist and I just, you have any information or advice or something like that?
Right.
Because he's a pretty well-known guy, he's a writer. And he's like, listen, they got this thing in Atlanta called the Black Arts Festival. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, you need to go to it. And I'm like, okay. He's like, can I get your phone number? He's like, yeah, here's my phone number. So he gave me his phone number. That summer, I studied art in Belize. So
what the fuck?
Yeah, I was in art. I was doing art in Belize for, that was an experience because they told us it was one thing. They told us it was going to be like, oh, we got this. First of all, they showed us pictures of like the land and the beaches and all that. They didn't show us no people. They didn't show us no houses. They didn't show us sunsets and food. Like, we get down there. It's nothing like what we thought, and we had to rough it out for about a month out there. And it was a cool experience at the end. We got a chance to do a bunch of stuff in the jungle, and all that. But so I come back, and now the Black Arts Festival's going on.
Right.
So I get in my car and drive to Atlanta for like the first time, and then see this thing. It was basically like a mini Black Art Basel. And then it was such a great experience that when I came back home, I'm like, I'm moving to Atlanta.
Right.
So I graduate thinking that, okay, I'm about to take this art world design thing over.
That's what I said.
Leaving Greenville, North Carolina, and then realize this fantasy I had in my head does not exist in North Carolina. And I work at a newspaper designing ads.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was doing car ads. And like
kind of old school ad
yeah,
shit.
when you gotta like go online and like somebody's selling like a 86 Monte Carlo, so you got to go on the computer and find a picture and then match it with the stuff, and then
that
you
made
put
me like
then you run it in the paper, then you make a mistake, and when you come back the next day, the ad's on your paper, everybody's on your desk, and everybody's mad at you, because they got to comp it. So that's what I was doing. I was pretty much messing up car ads for a while, and this is right when the internet was getting really the web boom was happening. The first internet boom was happening. So
because I feel like I was there too. Like I was a webmaster and stuff like that. Yeah.
So I go to work and I'm like, listen, I can't do this, So I start building my own website, and that's when I built Killustration.com. The first one. I built it myself. My only website I ever built using Dreamweaver.
Yeah.
And then I decided, I got to leave this place. So I go and tell my boss I'm quitting in 30 days. Which gives people enough time to take you out to dinner and lunch and all that stuff, and give you gifts and stuff. So that was cool. So then I just I ended up moving down here. Being that the internet was big and people looking for web designers, it was you're like a rock star if you could design anything on a web for the web. And people were flying me from Fayetteville to Atlanta, picking me up in a limo, taking me out to lunch, and then flying me home that day.
For web shit?
For a web designer. They flew me to Atlanta twice and to Chicago. And up until that point, the only time I've been in a limo was like prom. So this was new.
Only time I've been in a limo was like someone else's prom.
Yeah.
I was at my cousin's house.
So they
and
I designed one website for myself. And
see, I got my website up in 99, and it's been my website since 99, and sometimes I feel like maybe it's nothing I've done except that I got my website up in 99, because it's had hundreds of thousands of people only because it's been 99, because during those early days I was able to build websites, so I would put everything up. Like I feel like that's the biggest thing that helped me today is the 99 website. The 2000 website.
That website was like my freedom from North Carolina. That got me out of North Carolina. And then I moved to Atlanta, ended up living with a friend for 3 weeks, and then got my own place. And I worked as a art director, because that was my first job was art director, off of one website. And I was rocking that out. And the whole time I was doing freelance illustration work for different magazines. And that's how I started really getting my name out there. And by the time I hit Atlanta, I was in Frank 151, which is the little free magazine.
Yeah, that was cool.
I did illustrations for them when I was in North Carolina. When I landed in Atlanta, that issue dropped. So that was like giving me some artistic currency.
I didn't even know that. I mean, I remember that little magazine. It was like
that put me on. That magazine put me on. So that was my calling card and my introduction into the Atlanta scene. And there was a drawing session that was like some of the artists that were big in the black art scene. They would get together at Spelman, and then it used to be at Studioplex for these private drawing sessions.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and these are some of the top artists in the country.
Yeah.
And so I think Dante was there, Fabian, a couple of other young artists were there.
Yeah, I gotta get
So we were all, young artists there with these older established artists, and that was kind of our introduction into like the art scene.
I mean, that's fucking cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was like a jam session.
I didn't know any of that.
So there was an artist named Carl Owens, and I keep telling people about this guy because I think more people should know about him.
Right.
He was the head guy, older guy. He did like albums from Detroit, like Motown and stuff, illustrations back then. That was the first time I watched somebody make painting look easy.
Oh.
He did a piece of the model and painted it, and he was like, I don't like it. Erased the whole thing and then painted a better picture on top of what he did. And I'm like, I would have just got another board.
Right,
I would have just erased it. But he was that good. And, that was just a great experience watching somebody who was that masterful at their craft.
Yeah.
It's like watching a magician. That's what it was, watching a magician paint.
Yeah, I feel like you can tell when he did it.
Yeah.
When he does a trick, but like I wouldn't even know. But the way you create, you would be like, oh, he was fucking sleight of handed, because he knew these rules and he applied.
He was just that good.
Yeah.
He was just that. I felt that he could have taken his hand off the brush and it would have kept working.
Oh shit.
That's how good it was,
That's what I felt like in my 20s.
It was like, watch this.
Yeah.
Look, no hands.
Yeah, that's what 20s felt like.
How would you describe the Atlanta scene to folks who were like, should I move to Atlanta at that time?
Oh.
How are you describing
Okay, so.
And then John Tindel.
The Atlanta scene, at least when when I got here, I didn't know anybody. I came in knowing zero artists other than,
I knew no one.
Like maybe the guys at Frank 151, they introduced me to different people. And they told me, I was like, where do the artists hang out? Because in my mind, come from North Carolina, all the artists hang out together at like a bar.
Right.
And they pointed me to Yin Yangs. That was the closest thing.
If you're like me, dude, you're probably like, I'm going to be an artist now.
Yeah.
So like for me, I thought, oh, I'm going to be at every restaurant with a sketchbook. Like I thought I was going to transform. Yeah, like, ooh, I'm an artist now. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to do a little bit of weird things that people don't do. But I mean, it didn't turn out like that. But like, I remember that feeling when you're like young, like you're like, oh shit, I'm in a new city.
Well, one thing is that a lot of times in art school, at least where I was coming from, there was no blueprint for the type of art career that I wanted to do. Their job was, okay, you get a design gig, that's it. Or you become an illustrator, that's it. Being out and about in the streets, in the music scene, or in whatever scene, that was like foreign to them. So there was no blueprint. So getting out, I had to find a place where I could meet people. And I would go to like clubs and be like regulars there.
Right.
And that's how I met people, how I met DJs and how I met folks. And that's how I started getting into the scene even more.
Yeah.
Going to the nightlife, going to a bar and not drinking is kind of odd. You know?
Right.
Especially when you become a regular at a bar and you're ordering cranberry juice and, and orange juice and stuff like that.
Hey, you'll live longer. No.
Yeah,
It's like a Wild West. I remember telling my friend who was from Panama City in Atlanta, I was like, man, like I think I can do art here, and you can make up your own shit. Like there's nothing solidified, so you can just do whatever. So it'd be like painting live, doing whatever, and like in that young ass, like fucking fire under your ass, it would be like, yeah, it was.
Looking back, there was
out of my element for me.
Yeah.
Like it was just like playing in this.
People were very raw, because we really didn't know like how to, at least I didn't. I was learning the business of doing art and all that. And even still learning it, but it was, there was some interesting business dealings, trying to get out there, getting projects where you did not deal with necessarily the best clients.
No.
No. Having to figure out how to get paid for the work you do. There's a lot of that, But the good thing is a lot of the people that were around back then, a good chunk of them are still making art now. And you get a chance to see the transitions that people make, one, as people,
Oh, 100%. And some of those people that loved your shit back then when they were young are circling back around and coming through as like clients. And
clients. They got
things
jobs
like that where I'm like, 20 years it took to cultivate a
a following.
Kind of a little bit of a career where you can maybe pay your mortgage and shit. Yeah.
You know,
Have some trees.
Back then, there was no mortgages. You know, it was like rent. That was it. It was just the rent, and then whatever gas money and all that stuff. Trying to get that out there. You know, and also like a lot of the branding that you had to do for yourself back then is different now. Back then, it was all about getting in magazines. If you got in a magazine, for me, that was like giving you instant credibility. Yeah. Because you can go to a Barnes & Noble or a Books A Million or whatever bookstore was around and see your work in a book magazine. And that enabled you to get more magazines.
Well,
now it's
published.
It was published,
thing,
you know.
Yeah. Wisdom makes the hustle efficient and easier, and it's not so much of a grind and a like 3 a.m, but like, it's hustle. So like I feel like even the celebrities that are assholes or whatever, you're like, no, they're probably hustling their ass off. There's no way to maintain anything, it seems like, without like, because you have to make a brand. I made a brand.
You had to make a brand.
Fucking dude that paints. Like, why do I have a brand? But you got to fucking take that brand and like.
And you got to be very proactive in your stuff. Back then, I would actually email magazines and be like, hey, how do you get featured in your magazine? Yeah. Sometimes they'll be like, no. But then sometimes they'll go to the website and be like, okay, we'll give you a shot.
So that's what I was always like, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, it's like, I was telling Micha, I was like, I feel like I haven't even started a plan. You know what I mean? Like, it just, art happens and all the shit that happens. And I haven't gotten around to starting a fucking plan yet.
Well, now it's different because now it's social media driven. Now it's social media driven. You know, the magazines really aren't like that anymore. So now it's, you know, followers and, likes, and transitioning from, okay, how do I take the following I have and maybe become an influencer or, get paid for that. And so it's a different ball game. And I think younger artists today are more built for that. So you'll see a lot of younger artists out there really capitalizing on that. And some of the older ones are still out there doing work. They can get it. They got their followings as well. But it's a whole different. It's a different.
It's like a hyper hustle.
That might be a new T-shirt. Hyper hustle.
It's hyper, and I'll be like, I'm gonna maybe edit a video. They're like,
and it's a lot more work too.
Yeah, it's like
you got videos, you got photos and all that. That's a whole job in itself. Outside of actually making the actual artwork that you want to do.
So that's what I was going to say. You both seemingly have been very prolific, even at like growing into this new age of marketing. So obviously it's important for both of you to continue to create. Like, how do you stay creating and not worry about the marketing and letting the content push itself? You know what I'm saying? Well, the content of the work.
I think you got to give yourself something. That a goal of some sort, of some type of idea out there that you want to work towards, whether it's a show concept.
That's why I need a show to finish a painting.
You need it. Sometimes having a show gives you a reason to make the work to meet that goal.
That's where my wisdoms come in. I realize I need a show, so I'll finish 7 paintings. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm never going to finish 7 paintings. Because I got yard work. You know what I mean?
You got life happens too. You got to do that, but you
I get fidgety. I'm like, what can I do to not paint today? I'm gonna do
How do I avoid
this yard work.
Being that I curate shows, I have to approach the show more like outside of just the work, but like the holistic approach to it. Like, okay, what is the name of the show? What is the theme of the show? How do you build installations for the show? How do you market the show? Where do you get the money to do the show? Or is it just going to be something you do first and then figure it out later? So a lot of those go in, and that has really nothing to do with the work. But I still have the goal of what I'm trying to do.
Skill though.
Over years, I've become like super meticulous in writing ideas down. I try to write everything down. Like
I do have a notes. I've started.
Write it down, man. It makes a big difference.
I try, but I'm a rambler, man.
Even write the ramblings down. There's something about writing it down.
That's what painting is for me. That's writing the ramblings down.
Yeah, like that helps you keep you at least working on it a little bit every day so you can get closer to your goal.
I'm starting to think mine's a disorder. And yours is crazy. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, it's funny.
It becomes sometimes I think when you write, only part of my life is organized really is my notebooks. That's it. There's only I can say really super organized is just that.
Organized.
That's it. Like everything else is up for grabs, but that one part, that little area, I could say.
Yeah, I don't know. You'd have to explain what organized means. I'd have to define organized because that's organized.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? Like all my spray paint's right there. So like, yeah, it's not necessarily what it is. It's just that all of the things are there.
Yeah,
organized.
Like
yeah,
color coordinated.
All right, final thoughts.
Yes.
5 minutes.
Okay, 5 minutes.
Oh, I thought you were gonna give us some thoughts.
I thought you were giving us a critique on it. Like, okay, guys, I think you did okay today. I think maybe next week you can come back.
I'll type up notes. I would say.
Okay.
Tell John what's next.
Okay. Ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So,
what's next?
Here's what's next. Yeah. Now that we're on the tail end of the pandemic and everything, the next thing is getting back out on the road. This is the first time in years where we didn't tour. In like 17 years we didn't tour. So we're trying to get our beats and lyrics back on the road, do some more cities, do new cities, and keep that moving, as well as outside of that, working on my own work.
Right.
And get ready for another show, put another solo show out there. I haven't done one since I did the one on boxing. Yeah. 2020 pretty much, that was a whole year where nothing happened.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So it was 2019.
Yeah.
So that's the next thing, is work on a new solo show and continue to do work, as well as, work on more products. Because I think I'm at the point now where, okay, what can you make that other people can use and all that, so.
Yeah. Man. Well, yeah.
See you later. Thanks for coming by.
For real. Thank you for real. I think this might be something cool. Like, I don't know. I feel like
this is really cool because I had no idea what Tindel's setup looks like. I just know he just makes work. It just shows up with work. Every time I call him, like, hey, Tindel, we need some paintings. He's like, I got you. No matter what. It could be like a day's notice. He'll show up in a truck or a van with big ass paintings. So he's been, clutch for years.
Well, I'm glad to talk. Like, I'm glad you came over. I'm glad you saw my place. Come up for dinner sometime. You know what I mean? Like, chill out. And yeah, use my fucking tools, dude.
Hey, I'm about to use.
Because I got to be right behind you, like, ooh, I'm getting inspiration.
That router, I want to use that. I want to use the vinyl cutter some more.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
I thought my goal is to combine it all into one mutant wall piece, but like my brain is fucking segmented. And something's happening, and the silos need to squish together.
Also, you should really frame those tufted pieces, man. Those rugs,
gonna have to do
those are dope, because I want to get one of those rugs.
I've got an idea for rugs. Once I get this one done, I got my own idea, and I think it's going to be like pretty fucking good.
Cool.
It's going to look raunchy and beautiful. It's going to be a raunchy, beautiful thing.
Don't know what that means, but I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Dap it up and walk.
Oh, we got to dap and walk? Okay.
Dap? Is that
like
just like say goodbye?
Okay, because
all
right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for coming by. Don't technically have to leave quite yet.
Okay, because you really got to get the handshake right. Because I did an interview before, I fucked that up and had to do that like 5 times.
I like it natural.
Yeah, the natural. All right. Hey, I got a crossbow. Like, word?